Notre Dame season preview for 2026. What are the Fighting Irish going to look like ahead of this upcoming season? Because they look like they're going to be a really solid team, in my opinion. They look like they have the potential to be one of the better teams in the country. I'm going to have them top 5. I'll give you a sneak peek. They're going to be top 5 in my preseason top 25, coming out on Sunday, by the way. So make sure you tune in for that. Start off with quarterback CJ Carr. That's kind of who I want to touch on first. CJ Carr is one of the biggest reasons to believe in Notre Dame in 2026. CJ Carr is the centerpiece of this team, similar to Darian Mensah in Miami, who we just talked about literally a minute ago. If you haven't watched the full show and you're just watching the individual cut of this video, check out the other videos on the channel. The expectations are significantly higher this year than they were last year. I can tell you that with confidence. Even though they're losing a lot of key pieces on this team, they gained a lot. So we're going to get to the roster here in a second. I wanted to touch on CJ Carr, as I said. Carr has the talent to become one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's currently the Heisman favorite. Depending on where you look, he's the Heisman favorite. He looks like he's going to be, and people have him, in a similar spot that they had Arch Manning last year. I'm not comparing him to Arch Manning in any way, but I'm saying be wary of what could happen here. You could be putting unreal expectations on a guy who's not ready for those expectations. CJ Carr could be, not saying he's going to be, but he could be in the position of Arch Manning last year, where you took Arch Manning and you put all these expectations on him. Heisman favorite, Texas national championship favorite. He has to be this first-round draft pick, number 1 overall pick type quarterback. Did any of those come true? How many of those came true? Those of you listening on podcast, I'm holding up a 0. None of that came true. Why? Because maybe he wasn't ready for that. Maybe he wasn't ready for that expectations that were thrown on him yet. You ever think about that possibility? Because I've thought about that. Day and night. When I think about Notre Dame, I think about CJ Carr and these expectations that are being put on him. What if he's not ready for them? What if we throw all our eggs in this one basket of Notre Dame, and then we look back after the season and say, man, I don't think he was ready for that. Similar to Arch Manning. I don't think he was ready to take that step forward. I don't think he was ready for those expectations that put a lot more nerves on you. Because when someone looks at you in the face and says, you're the best quarterback in college football, that's what everyone thinks of you. Your team is supposed to win the national championship or bust. Those are a lot of expectations. Those are tough expectations to meet. So, as a quarterback, I played quarterback in high school as well. I played quarterback for 3 years. Those expectations of being like, hey, you know what? It's tough enough when you got to go out and win a singular game. But when someone says, hey, you're the best quarterback in your league and your team is expected to win the national championship or else it's a bust and you're a fraud. Those are tough expectations to meet. Like, those are expectations where you have to really look and say, man, I have to put a lot of pressure on myself to get better and to be better in this upcoming year. That's CJ Carr right now. So be careful about your expectations that you put on CJ Carr, because I don't want this, this Arch Manning 2.0 to happen to CJ Carr. So be aware of that. The segment went a little longer than I wanted it to. Running backs. Running backs a big talking point for Notre Dame right now. Why? Because they lost their 2 best running backs in Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Those are 2 key guys that are tough to replace. Those are 2 of the best running backs in the draft. Pick 4, I think, and pick 32. That's tough to replace. I do see some running backs and some names that I think can kind of fill that, not to 100%, but kind of fill those shoes. A player I'm watching most is Anais Williams. I think he's going to be a phenomenal running back, a top 10 running back in 2026. Do I think he's going to be Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price even? I don't think so yet. I think he's going to need time to really, figure things out, especially earlier in the season. We'll get to their schedule here in a second to see if he has time to do that. But I would say Anais Williams is probably he's got the speed, he's got the physical ability to become a major contributor to this Notre Dame offense. Do I think he's going to be the centerpiece of this offense? No, and I don't think he should be, because I don't think he's ready for that. Similar to CJ Carr, who I'm not saying CJ Carr isn't ready for those expectations. He's fully ready for them. But for running back like Anais Williams, who hasn't played much, there could be, some time where he needs to figure things out. And then from, maybe it takes 3 games and then he's off to the races. We get into, these bigger games in the season. Once you get past Wisconsin, Rice, and Michigan State, you get into the bigger games. You look at it and say, all right, we're ready to go now. We got Miami, we got SMU, we got BYU. Now we're ready to go. So we could see that happening there. So that's Notre Dame's running back room. Wide receiver room is a sneaky top position group for this team. I'm way high on Notre Dame's wide receiver room, by the way. This could be one of Notre Dame's biggest strengths right here. And you might look at their receiver room and say, well, Wyatt, there's not a ton of big names here. I know that. There's no Malachi Toney. There's no Jeremiah Smith. There's no Cam Coleman. I understand that. I totally get that. But there's a great combination of returning production. There's great combination of portal additions. And I get it. There's a lot of younger guys. But Jordan Faison, I think that guy's going to be excellent. You pair that with Jaden Greathouse, who's another phenomenal guy. Quincy Porter and Mylan Graham, 2 young guys you got from Ohio State who are, one's a 5-star, one's a 4-star, who I think are going to be potential. I mean, if they're good enough to get recruited by Ohio State, they're good enough to play on Notre Dame. That's for sure. So those 2 guys are going to be guys where you might not see out of the gate become really good, but you could see them like, I don't know, week 6 to week 8 be like, oh, who's this guy? Who's Mylan Graham? Where'd that guy come from? He just had, 8 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown today. Where'd that guy come from? Oh, that's the freshman. That's the young guy. That's the sophomore that just came from Ohio State. We're going to have him for a few more years. I think that the younger guys, Mylan Graham, Quincy Porter, those guys you'll see later in the season pop up in some big games. Your main guys are going to be Jordan Faison and Jaden Greathouse. Those are your experienced guys that you could really rely on in 2026. So that's Notre Dame's offense. Now we get to defense. I wanted to touch on edge rushers because edge rusher looks like a really solid unit on this team. Players to watch are Bobakar Traorn. I'm trying to say this name right. I don't have a pronunciation sheet in front of me. It's tough to say. You can look it up for yourself. Keon Keeley is also in this room, who I absolutely love. Now, Traore is obviously the star after a 7.5 sack season, which I think he's going to improve on. But Keon Keeley has the talent to be one of the biggest breakout players on this Notre Dame team. And I'm fully confident when I say that. If Notre Dame gets major production from both of those guys, the Irish could have one of the best pass rushes in the country. And that makes that Miami-Notre Dame game even better. Because Miami's got a great pass rush as well. But man, Notre Dame's is going to give them a run for their money. So I cannot wait for this edge rushing or just rushing defense of Notre Dame with Keon Keeley as the center of it. What about secondary? Secondary is also something I'm keeping an eye on. This may be the best unit on the entire roster. And I'm not even kidding about you. I'm not even kidding with you. Other than, I would say, maybe... Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything else. This is looking insane, this secondary. The secondary is led by safety Adon Scholler, who is projected to be a top 5, potential top 10 draft pick in 2026. So you already got the best corner, or DB, in the country on your team. And Notre Dame has also a deeper group of talent behind him. You have Adon Scholler, as we just mentioned, who's going to be a great player. You have DJ McKinney, who is going to be a sneaky star. You have Dallas Golden, who's going to be a breakout player. You have all these guys that I'm listing. Jaden Sanders, Aiden Pouncey. All these guys I'm listing. You might not know. You might only know 2 of those guys out of 4 that I just named. But those guys are going to all break out, similar to the receiver room. You're going to see some breakout guys later in the year, I think. So the Irish could be able to play aggressive coverage. They're going to be able to play coverage where they can rely on their DBs. Okay? They're not going to have to stack the box and blitz all the time. They're going to have DBs who can, cover. They're going to have DBs. Well, actually, I guess you could say you could blitz more. You could blitz those linebackers. You could bring them in. You could pressure them because you have the DBs to play man coverage. you have those DBs that can keep up with top receivers like Malachi Toney or Jeremiah Smith when you have to play Miami. So I don't have any doubts about Notre Dame's secondary, about their, rushing attack, or about their, pressure attack. I guess I don't even know what the word is for that. So this team looks good for Notre Dame offensively and defensively. Really hyping myself up for this Notre Dame team. What about schedule? Notre Dame's schedule real quick. Starting off with Wisconsin, Rice, and Michigan State all at home. I mean, I don't see where they should slip up at all. You got at Purdue and at North Carolina. You should be 5-0 before getting SMU at home. SMU's a game that could be sneaky. SMU could flirt with you a little bit. I think that's going to be a tough one. You got at BYU. These are not all in order, but you got at BYU, which I think is going to be a decently tough game. You got Miami, which I think is going to be the toughest game on your schedule. So looking at this overall schedule, I see 12-0. 100% I see 12-0. I also see 11-1. But I'm going to be honest with you, worst case scenario, like all things go wrong for Notre Dame, and the season, TJ Carr has a breakdown. Maybe the running back room isn't as good as we thought. Some injuries happen. I don't think you're getting a worse Notre Dame team than 10-2. Like, I think they would maybe lose to Miami and probably split the BYU and SMU game. Like, I don't think we're getting a worse team. You could talk me into a 9-3 if all things go wrong, but most likely you're going to see 11-1 Notre Dame team. Like, that's my prediction, is 11-1, potentially 12-0. So that's the Notre Dame team. That's the Notre Dame season preview for 2026. Make sure you comment down below if you agreed with any of that, even if you disagreed with any of that. But if you are a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, make sure you get down below and comment your thoughts on this video. Make sure you like the video and get on the channel and just check out some of the other Notre Dame videos as well. We got playlists for a lot of the top teams in college football on the channel as well.